Hello everyone, welcome back. Welcome back to my Satisfactory playthrough. So I'm back playing this game, and yeah, I played this game quite a bit last week. um, so the week before, in my last video, I worked on the second space elevator part, which was the electromagnetic field generator. Yes, oh sorry, magnetic field generator. It's not electromagnetic. Anyway, so I worked on this. This was fairly a simple factory. So basically just the bottom part, it is just like a couple of these machines, like 1, 2, 3 blueprints, and I was able to complete that. So it was fairly simple. I just unlocked the last milestone in phase 4, which is like tier 8, milestone 5 or something like that. Anyway, so I completed all of that in my last video, and today I wanted to work on the propulsion unit, which is the thermal propulsion rocket. So this is the third space elevator part, and I think this is the most complicated space elevator part. So all other the only other space elevator part which will be left is nuclear pasta. I think nuclear pasta is a lot simpler in terms of complexity compared to thermal nuclear propulsion rocket. And yeah, today I worked on that. I mean, not today, but yeah, last week I worked on that and I was able to complete it. And yes, so this entire thing is dedicated to that. So over here, for example, all of these blueprints contribute to the first space elevator part, which I thought was already like pretty complex. Like there is so much stuff going on over here. But then this third space elevator part, the thermal propulsion rocket, is just even more complex. But fortunately for me, I had blueprints for literally everything. So things became a lot simpler for me. All I had to do is plop some stuff down and just get the raw resources in. So yeah, so today I'll just go over the um, uh, over what I did in order to achieve this in a very brief manner. Like I won't go into like all the every single blueprint, but I'll just go over in brief. So yeah, so the first thing, the most simplest thing is so if we just look at this thermal propulsion rocket, it doesn't have any alternate recipe, so that makes our life a lot easier. It says used in, which I have not noticed in space elevator parts before, but all these space elevator part has this used in. I never really bothered to check that, which I'm really curious, because I don't think that it's telling me to put it in space elevator. I don't think that's the case, but there is something that I'm missing, not missing, but that will come in future when I go to the next phase. When I complete this phase, that I'll unlock this, which I'm really curious about. What will this get used in? I have no idea. Anyway, so with this, the thermal propulsion rocket, it was fairly simple. All I had to do was use the basic recipe. And here, I like to have all of these final space elevator part with number equal to 1. So I want to have one thermal propulsion rocket per minute as my production number. So I want to produce one of those. I'm not looking for crazy numbers or anything like that. It's pretty simple. So the one, when I say one, it needs like 2.5 modular engines, 1 turbo motors, 3 cooling systems, and 1 fuse modular frames. So let's just forget what modular engines. Let's just go to turbo motors, cooling system, and fuse modular frames. So I have nearly the perfect blueprints. I have a blueprint which makes exactly 1 turbo motor. So I can just plop this blueprint down and get the raw resources, and I'll get the final product. But as we can see, this has 3 radio control units as one of the inputs because I could not accommodate that. And I have radio control unit as one of the blueprints. And this radio control unit again takes in raw resources and I'll get the final product. So all I did was plop this radio control unit down, this blueprint down, and then right on top of that, I plopped the turbo motor blueprint down, which is right over here. So over here, so this is one blueprint. I think that is the one of these. Anyway, let's see. Yes, so this is the cooling system. So if I go radio control unit, so this is the radio control unit blueprint. I plop this down, and the output of this, I'm just taking it here and I'm putting this into turbo motors. So this is a turbo motor blueprint. So I just plopped these right next to each other, and I just started feeding from this output to that input, and that is done. So turbo motor is done. All I had to do was bring in the inputs. Now the next thing is cooling system. Now for cooling system, I have a blueprint right here, which takes in all raw resources. I don't have to plop anything else down. So all I did was plop this blueprint down and things are good to go. So, which is what I did. So my second blueprint was, is it this one? No, that's fuse modular frames. It's this one. So this one, the cooling system. So I just plopped this blueprint down and I got in raw resources, and things are working. So with that, the last thing was fuse modular frames. For fuse modular frames, I have a blueprint here, which makes 1.2 fuse modular frames. So it's a little bit more than what I need. All I need is one fuse modular frame per minute, but this makes 1.2, which I can just make this one. It really doesn't matter. I mean, yeah, sure. I can just make that one, and I'll start getting one per minute, and everything else will be balanced around that. So I'm getting like one fuse modular frame over here, and all of these outputs are going in here and into this manufacturer. So it's one fuse modular frames, which is perfect. So yeah, I'm getting enough fuse modular frames, and things are working. Thermal propulsion rocket. Now the last part is the modular engines. So modular engine was the only one which I did not have blueprint for, so I had to plan a little bit. So this is the input for modular engines that I'm getting. So if we just follow that, this is the manufacturer which is doing modular engines. So as we can see, it needs motor, rubber, and smart plating. Rubber is just a raw resource, so I don't care about that. So next was motor and smart platings. So for these, I don't have any blueprints. I have blueprints, but I don't have necessary blueprints which can make the necessary counts of these. So what I mean by that is I need like 5 per minute motor. I need 5 smart plating per minute for like 2.5 modular engines. So with the blueprints that I have, it just makes 1.5. I did not like putting like 4 of these down. Even then it'll be like 6 per minute. It won't be 5. I'll have to do so many shenanigans, or I'll have to build a brand new blueprint for that, which I did not like. And for smart plating, I did not have blueprint. So I just started working from scratch. I did not use blueprints. So this is the only one. For example, these are all like standalone structures. So this is the only part which I worked manually. Everything else was using blueprints. So here I use a smart plating which uses reinforced plate, rotors, and I'm getting 5 per minute. And similarly motors, I'm doing rotors and stators, and I'm getting 5 per minute. So with these, yeah, so all of these inputs that is necessary for this, I'm just bringing in here. Again, none of these are blueprints, by the way. Like I'll go to blueprint mode right now. You can see none of these are blueprints. Like if I go down, that's a blueprint, but all of these are like individual things. So I just put some of these things here, and I'm using this recipe specifically for iron ingots, which uses a little bit of limestone with iron ore to get lot more iron ingots. The reason I did that is because I did not want to use as much iron ore, because I need lots of iron ore. Like I need 80 iron ingots just to get 20 steel pipes. So that's a lot of iron ore. And to do that, I am using this iron ore. Instead of like, basically I'm using half the iron ore necessary because of that recipe. But yeah, so this is the only part which I am like manually doing. So I think this one is like rotors. This is stators. Again, this is rotors. So rotors are necessary for both like motor production and also smart plating. So I have 2 rotor factories over here and 1 stator factory. So with that, all of these things are going there, and modular engines is built right on top of this. As I mentioned, I think this is the cooling system. No, radio control unit. I keep getting confused with radio control units and cooling system. I keep saying one for the other. Anyway, so this is radio control unit, which is going into the turbo motors, and then right below that there is this no, that is for something else. Anyway, That is for the other space elevator part. And then over here is the cooling systems, and right on top of this is the used modular frames. So all I did was put everything down. Once the modular engine was done, most of my work was done. So all I did was put the blueprints down and did some belting work to connect the outputs to the input over there. Next part, the final most crucial part, which I worked for a little longer than I needed to, was bringing in the inputs. So if you guys remember, like the inputs over here, I did not plan too much. Like I just put belts whenever I wanted and I just belted it like wherever, however I could. So you can see belts going left and right, and there is no coordination anywhere. There's a little bit of planning. At the same time, there is no planning. I did not want to do that over here. The reason being, there are like 7 or 8 resources that I am bringing in. And if I did something like that, I would lose track and it would be completely wrong. And I will miss so many different things. So, and also this helps me monitor like which resource is insufficient, which resources do I need to bring more. For example, iron, I can probably increase the amount of resources that are coming in. There was a small hiccup in the trains, so that's the reason iron is slowed down. But honestly, right now I had no production issues and until just like 10 minutes before I started recording. Some train got messed up because of some signals, and I just quickly corrected that. So that's the reason there is a shortage of iron resource over here. But ideally speaking, there should not be. So I'm pretty confident with that because I left it running for like 12 hours or something, and everything was perfect. So yeah, with that. So just a couple of tips on how I like built this, because the thing is like you can build this by like constantly building stuff and deleting stuff, because sometimes you won't know where exactly the splitter needs to come, for example, to exactly go to the specific resource, or sometimes things might just get messy, right? So what I did was, first I made something like this. I just made myself like sort of a organization chart. So I made which resource will be where, so that even if I forget later, I can come back here and see this and I'll know, okay, so over here will be the rubber. So rubber should come here. So I'll know no matter what. So I can leave this in the middle, like I can exit the game, come back tomorrow, and I can continue because I have this sort of reference point and I can just continue from wherever I have left off. And the way that I belted this was, first I built all the necessary splitters. Like I did this. So for example, first I came here, where do I need iron? So iron is required over here, for example. So this needs iron. So I just made multiple splitters over here up till this side. Similarly, I completed iron all the way up till the end. And then I deleted the splitters all the way at the bottom. So all I had was the top splitter hanging, and similarly everything else was hanging for iron. Next I went for casings and I put the necessary splitter all the way from the bottom. I did that. I did not belt the iron. We should not belt the iron. Just keep the belting to the end. Just do the splitters first. So you'll have a mismatch of like all of these splitters just hanging once you are done. And then you can just go ahead, take the belts and just connect everything one after the other. So that's the easiest way that you can do it. In this way, you don't have to plan too much as to where things will come, etc. And then towards the end, I just have this over here, and to this, wherever the resource was, I just got it from there and I just connected it. So that was connecting resources at the end is pretty simple. I did make sure the resources that I'm taking is from individual freight platforms. Like I'm not taking, if I'm already using a resource for something else over here, I'm not using the same freight platform is what I made sure of. So each of these have its own production input. Like there is no supply chain conflict with different space elevator parts trying to compete for the same resources from the same freight platform. That's not happening. So which is good. So with that, so things are flowing, things started working, and when it was working for the 8 to 12 hour mark, everything was working at 100% efficiency. So I'm pretty confident once things start flowing, it will start working pretty well. And yeah, so with that, the thermal propulsion unit is complete. This was the most complex project, by the way. I mean, in space elevator part, I think this was the most complex. I don't know which was the. I mean, the weapons factory was definitely a lot more complex because I had to plan a lot of different stuff from different things. But yeah, I mean, it's difficult to say which is the most complex project that I have worked on in my world, but this was definitely. I won't say it was challenging because it was pretty straightforward because of my blueprints, but it was fun and it was exciting because there was a lot of stuff to do. So yeah, with that, and yeah, and also when I was building all of this, one very important thing that you all of us can use is there is something called notes that we can use. If you guys are playing in multiplayer and if 2 or 3 people are working on different things or on the same thing, this public notes, private notes section is extremely handy. So if you put it in public notes, everyone can see it. Private notes is just for your purpose. So this is extremely useful. For me, it's just me, so I can put wherever I want. But I was using this quite a bit. So you can just put like something like iron 70, something like that. And you don't press escape. If you press escape, that will go away. Just click on something over here and it'll just stay there on the right hand side of your screen. I think this is an extremely useful tip for people who want to use this. This is extremely useful. Like we forget how much resource you need, all of that. So you don't have to remember or write it down on a paper or anything. There is actually notes inbuilt into the game you guys can use. So just use that. And it's extremely helpful. There is like public notes, private notes, so it's extremely helpful. I use the notes section quite a bit. So with that, yeah, so things are flowing. I overclocked all the nitrogen. I have a lot more nitrogen than I thought. Once I overclocked it, there were lots of pure nodes, so I am getting quite a bit of nitrogen. I don't think I'll have to go to another node to get nitrogen, so I'm quite happy with that. So yeah, so things are finally flowing in here, and thermal propulsion rocket, and it goes here, and it goes all the way to the top, and it stores. This is the thermal propulsion rocket. Let's see. This looks exactly like a propulsion system of an airplane or something. Yeah. It's like a miniaturized version of a propulsion system of an aeroplane, but yeah, pretty nice. Pretty. This makes a lot more sense than the assembly director system. I have no idea what this is supposed to be. It might be due to my limited knowledge, but I have no idea what the assembly director system is supposed to be. But the propulsion unit, thermal propulsion unit, looks exactly like a propulsion system. So this is pretty nice. Yeah, so those are getting stacked up. So the last thing that is left out is nuclear pasta. Wait. Yeah, it is nuclear pasta. It's not nuclear paste. It's nuclear pasta. I thought maybe I was pronouncing it wrong. I thought maybe it's like nuclear paste, which makes more sense. Nuclear pasta. I have never heard of that. Anyway, so this also has single recipe, so which makes things easier. I will be overclocking this to 1. So I will be using these as my numbers. So I will need 1 pressure conversion cube and 200 copper powder. 1 pressure conversion cube will be extremely easy compared to what I just did, because pressure conversion cube is just fused modular frames and like radio control units. It's like half of the blueprints that I have used right now for thermal propulsion unit. So I can easily do this. And I will get pressure conversion cube, and then for this one is it's just I need lot more numbers. I need so much copper. How much is this, by the way? Yeah, I need 200 copper powder. So which means, so if it's like 100, I need 600 copper. I need 1200 copper ingots. That's insane. Oh my god, I did not realize how much copper ingots you needed. Okay. But yeah, I need 1200 copper ingots for this nuclear pasta. How will anyone? Uh, there are some huge content creators, or like even some of you guys like who do huge numbers. Like you want to do like 10 nuclear pasta per minute or something. Like how is this even possible? Like it's so much copper. Will you guys just bring copper from all throughout the world just for that small number? Like you need 1200 copper. Like I need 1200 copper with producing one nuclear pasta per minute. And yeah, we need resources from all throughout the world. Like if you do like 20 nuclear pasta per minute or something like that, it's just insane. Anyway, so that is my future project. That'll be for next week. Next week I'll be completing nuclear pasta and also start feeding things into my space elevator and launch it. So that's the plan for next week. But yeah, so things are going pretty well. I'm really happy with how things are turning out. I was expecting things to be lot bigger. I was expecting things to become bigger than this uh, railway station. And I'm happy it became like that. Like, imagine if this factory was like this tall. I would feel so bad. But now that this specific factory is a lot taller than this railway station, I feel so much more comfortable because I know that the next project will be a lot smaller. Like I just need like one factory for fuse modular frame, one more factory for like cooling system or like radio control unit, whatever that was, right next to it, which won't be too difficult, and then bunch of smelters or whatever I'll use for making copper ingots. I might go for some alternate recipes. I might just use the pure copper ingot recipe because I do need a lot of copper. So I might just go for this. And then I'll need a lot of refineries, but still, I don't think it will take too much space. So I was feeling a little bit anxious that this factory will be very small, but I'm happy that that was not the case and it became a lot taller. So yeah, so with that, things are going pretty well, pretty smoothly. I'll be working on the nuclear pasta next week, but for now, everything is complete. The third space elevator part is done, the thermal nuclear propulsion, the most difficult, most complex space elevator part. So that is complete. So with that, thank you everyone. See you guys in my next video. Bye.